Life after Claire wasn't easy. My trust was shattered, and I found myself second guessing everyone's intentions. But the video's unexpected reach gave me a strange sense of purpose. People messaged me daily, sharing their own stories of betrayal and heartbreak. It felt like, in exposing my own pain, I had given others permission to confront theirs. I started therapy, something I had avoided for years. The therapist helped me unravel not just Claire's betrayal, but why I stayed in unhealthy patterns for so long. Slowly, I began to rebuild not just my trust in others, but my trust in myself. Then, one night, about 6 months later, I received an anonymous email. The subject line read, "You should know the truth." The message was short. Claire didn't cheat just once. She was seeing that guy for almost a year while you were together. Thought you deserved to know. Attached was a photo. Claire in the same apartment I had once called home, sitting on the couch with the man I had seen her with. They were laughing, drinking wine. The timestamp proved it was from months before my accident. For a moment, my chest tightened. Anger, betrayal, humiliation, all of it threatened to crash down again. But surprisingly, it didn't. Instead, I felt relieved. Relieved because it confirmed something I had already known deep down. I had dodged a bullet. Claire wasn't just someone who slipped up during a moment of weakness. She was someone who had been living a lie for a long time. I didn't respond to the email. I didn't need to. Closure had already found me. Now, a year later, I've moved on. I still carry the scars of that hospital bed. Not just the physical ones from the accident, but the emotional ones from Claire's betrayal. But those scars remind me of my resilience. I've met someone new. She knows everything about what happened, and instead of pitying me, she admires me for the way I faced it. We're taking things slow, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. And as for Claire, I don't know where she is or what she's doing. Maybe she's still making excuses. Maybe she's chasing someone else's attention. But that's not my concern anymore. What I do know is this: being cheated on while lying in a hospital bed taught me something I never expected. It taught me that even when life knocks you down, literally, you can stand back up stronger than before. They say betrayal breaks you, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it rebuilds you into someone who'll never accept less than the love and loyalty you deserve. The breaking point came one night when she said she was going to the store for groceries. She left her laptop open. My hands shook as I hovered over the keyboard. Should I? Shouldn't I? I gave in. There, in her email, was a chain of messages with him. The guy from the texts. His name was Ethan. And the content? Well, let's just say it was graphic enough to erase any doubts I had. They weren't just flirting. They weren't just emotionally connected. They were having a full-blown physical relationship while I was lying in a hospital bed, barely able to breathe. That was it. I couldn't hold it in any longer. When she walked back in, smiling like nothing was wrong, I exploded. "Who is Ethan?" I yelled. Her face went pale. She froze in the doorway like a kid caught stealing candy. I, I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. I saw the emails. While I was in the hospital fighting for my life, you were sneaking around with him." Her lips trembled. For a second, I thought maybe she'd apologize. Maybe she'd break down and beg for forgiveness. But instead, she sighed and dropped the act. "Fine, yes. I've been seeing Ethan. But you don't understand," she said, her voice sharp. "You were gone. You were weak. You couldn't give me what I needed. I felt alone. He was there for me." Her words hit me harder than any physical punch. Weak? I had been hooked up to machines trying to survive. And she made it about her? "So what?" I spat. "That gave you the right to crawl into someone else's bed? To betray me while I was literally fighting to stay alive?" She crossed her arms, defensive. "It wasn't like that. I didn't plan it. It just happened, and maybe if you weren't so focused on your recovery, Maybe if you gave me more attention, that was it. The final straw. I grabbed my things. You don't get to blame me for your choices. I nearly died, and instead of supporting me, you chose to cheat. We're done. Her voice cracked as I walked out. Wait! Please, don't leave. I didn't mean for this to go so far. I love you. But I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Not after everything. That night, I crashed at a buddy's place. My hands still trembled and my stomach twisted, but I knew deep down I had done the right thing. The hardest part wasn't losing her. It was realizing the person I thought loved me the most had abandoned me when I needed her the most. And yet, I had no idea what she would try next. Just when I thought it was over, when I thought walking away was enough, she came back into my life in a way I never expected. And what she revealed nearly destroyed me all over again. I thought exposing Claire's betrayal would bring me peace, but instead, it left behind a crater of mixed emotions. The video went viral within a day. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications. People praising me for standing up for myself, others calling Claire every name under the sun. Claire, however, didn't disappear quietly. She called me at least 30 times, left dozens of texts, and even showed up at my apartment door. Each time, she begged me to at least hear her out. But what was left to hear? I had already heard everything I needed from her own lips. Still, part of me was conflicted. I had invested 3 years of my life in this relationship. For a moment, I almost let her in, until I remembered lying in that hospital bed, unable to move, while she was with someone else. That memory burned too deep. Finally, I agreed to meet her in a public cafe, just to put an end to it. She looked like a ghost of herself. Hair unkempt, eyes swollen from crying. She slid into the chair across from me, clutching her coffee like it was the only thing tethering her to reality. Please, she whispered, I know what I did was wrong. But you have to understand, I was so scared. I thought I was losing you. Scared? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Scared enough to sleep with someone else? Tears welled in her eyes. I made a mistake, just once, and I regretted it the second it happened. Please don't throw away everything we had. Her words were rehearsed, almost mechanical. And while the old me, the one who always tried to see the best in her, might have been swayed, the new me wasn't. I had already thrown it away, the moment I uploaded that video. I didn't throw it away, Claire, I said firmly. You did. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing quietly. People at nearby tables turned to stare, but I didn't care. For once, I wasn't the one humiliated. I stood, placed a 20 on the table for her coffee, and walked away. That was the last time I saw her in person. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours, my chest rising and falling rapidly, as if I couldn't get enough air. Every fiber of my body screamed at me to call her, to demand an explanation, to unleash the storm of anger building inside me. But at the same time, I was terrified, because once I heard her voice, once she gave me some pathetic excuse, I'd have to decide what came next. And deep down, I already knew my life would never be the same again. Finally, I hit the call button. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. The line rang twice before she answered. Hey, babe, she said casually, her voice dripping with the kind of warmth you'd expect from a girlfriend, excited to hear from her partner. I almost laughed. The audacity. Don't, hey, babe, me, I snapped, my voice harsher than I intended. Where are you right now? There was a pause, a hesitation. I knew her too well. She was calculating her answer. I'm at Sarah's, she said quickly, naming one of her close friends. Why? What's wrong? My stomach dropped. She was lying again, and this time I wasn't about to let it slide. Funny, I said, my voice shaking with both rage and heartbreak. Because my buddy just saw you at our apartment, with someone else. So let me ask you again, where the hell are you? Her silence was deafening. I could almost hear her swallow through the phone. Finally, she muttered, I don't know what you're talking about. That was it, the last straw. Don't play dumb with me, I shouted. I've been lying here in a hospital bed for weeks, fighting through pain, and you're sneaking around with someone behind my back? Who is he? Her tone shifted instantly from defensive to pleading. It's not what you think, I swear. He's just a friend who was helping me out while you were gone. I've been so stressed and— Don't you dare, I interrupted. Don't you dare try to spin this. You were caught. Just admit it. The silence stretched again, longer this time, until finally her voice broke. I messed up. Those words cut deeper than any wound I had sustained in the hospital. My vision blurred as hot tears rolled down my face. How long? I whispered. How long have you been doing this? Her breathing was shaky. A few weeks, maybe since the second week you were gone. I was lonely, I was scared, and I made a mistake. A few weeks. While I was bedridden, hooked up to machines, unable to even take care of myself, she found comfort in someone else's arms. The betrayal was almost unbearable. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone across the room, to curse her out until I ran out of words. But instead, I just lay there in silence, the weight of everything pressing down on me. Finally, I managed to say, "You could have waited. You could have stood by me while I healed. But instead, you chose him. And the worst part? You would have kept lying if you hadn't been caught." "I still love you," she said softly, almost desperately. "I didn't mean for this to happen. Please, can we talk about it when you get out? Please don't give up on us over one mistake." One mistake. That's what she called it, as if her betrayal was just a slip of the tongue, something that could be brushed off and forgotten. I hung up without another word. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, haunted by the thought of her with him, haunted by the way she still had the nerve to say she loved me, and most of all, haunted by the question I couldn't escape. Was I strong enough to walk away? Or would I let her pull me back in? But just when I thought I'd reached rock bottom, I received a message that made everything even worse. A message that revealed exactly who she had been cheating with. And when I read the name, I felt the ground collapse beneath me. I wish I could tell you that after finding the messages, I calmly collected my thoughts and planned everything out rationally. But that would be a lie. The truth is, I was boiling. My body, still weak from recovery, felt like it was on fire. My heart raced, my head pounded, and every fiber of me screamed for answers. For 2 days, I tried to mask my emotions. I wanted to confront her immediately, but part of me needed to be sure I wasn't misinterpreting what I saw. So I started watching her, subtly, carefully. And you know what? Once you suspect someone, the signs you ignored before become glaringly obvious. She suddenly guarded her phone like it was the crown jewels. She'd go for a drive or meet up with a friend late in the evening. And when she came home, she'd act overly sweet, like she was trying to erase guilt with affection. Each time she touched me, I flinched. Each kiss felt like poison. When I was finally stable enough to be moved out of the ICU, the world outside my hospital room felt both alive and eerily distant. Machines beeped around me and nurses came in and out, adjusting IVs, checking vitals, asking me questions I was too groggy to answer. But through all that haze, one thought kept me grounded. Hannah, my girlfriend. The girl who had stayed by my side through the worst of it. Or, at least, that's what I believed. The second week after the accident, my strength was slowly coming back. I started noticing things, small things, that didn't add up. Hannah was still visiting, but not with the same warmth she had at first. She would sit with her phone more often than holding my hand. She seemed restless, like she wanted to be anywhere else but in that room. And then there were the whispers. Late at night, when I was supposed to be sleeping, I sometimes heard her on the phone in the hallway. The way her voice dropped low, almost urgent, like she didn't want anyone hearing. At first, I thought she was talking to her mom, or maybe venting to a friend about how stressful this had been. But then I caught snippets, words that didn't make sense. "I miss you too. Can't right now, he's awake. No, not tonight, but soon." My heart clenched. I told myself I was imagining it, that the medication was messing with my head. But deep down, a seed of doubt started to grow. The worst part? She was so sweet whenever she came back into the room, smiling, kissing my forehead, asking me if I needed water or if I was in pain. It was like living in two different realities. One where Hannah was my loving girlfriend who never left my side, and another where she was hiding something from me. One evening, my best friend Marcus stopped by. He pulled up a chair and gave me that look, the one that said he had something on his mind but didn't want to say it outright. "What's up?" I asked, my voice raspy. He hesitated. "You sure you want me to be honest?" I nodded. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Bro, I don't want to stress you out while you're healing, but I saw Hannah last night." My chest tightened. "Saw her where?" "At a bar downtown with some guy. They were close. Too close." The room spun, and it had nothing to do with my injuries. "What do you mean close?" He sighed. "I mean they looked like more than friends." I didn't want to believe it, but I saw them holding hands when they left. I wanted to throw up. My mind rebelled against it, trying to protect itself. "Number, you're wrong. Maybe it was her cousin or..." "Man," Marcus cut in gently. "I know what I saw." For the first time since the accident, my pain wasn't from my body. It was from betrayal, clawing its way into my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every beep of the monitor, every flicker of the fluorescent light above me felt unbearable. My mind kept replaying Marcus's words, clashing with Hannah's sweet smile when she kissed me goodbye just hours earlier. By morning, I was a wreck. My nurse noticed, asking if I needed stronger medication for the pain, but the pain wasn't physical anymore. It was something I couldn't explain. When Hannah walked in later that day, holding a bouquet of flowers, I studied her. Really studied her. She looked tired, almost guilty. But when her eyes met mine, she forced that same perfect smile. "Hey, babe," she said softly. "I brought your favorite." And for the first time, I didn't smile back. I couldn't. Because now I had a hook in my chest pulling me toward the truth, and I knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. Was Marcus right? Was Hannah cheating while I lay broken in a hospital bed? The answers started coming faster than I could prepare for. And once I saw the proof with my own eyes, there was no turning back. They say you only know who truly loves you when you're at your weakest. I didn't want to believe that, until the hospital became my home, and the truth I discovered almost destroyed me. I never thought I'd end up here, lying in a hospital bed, wires sticking out of me, machines beeping every few seconds, reminding me that I wasn't in control anymore. The accident happened so fast, yet the consequences dragged on like an endless nightmare. It was a rainy evening. I was driving home from work, exhausted but excited because I was supposed to meet my girlfriend, Emily, later that night. We'd been together for almost 2 years. She was the person I trusted most, the one who made me believe in love again after a string of failed relationships. But that night, fate had different plans. A truck lost control on the highway. I didn't even see it coming until it slammed into my car, crushing the side and spinning me across the road. I remember the screech of metal, the shattering glass, and then nothing but silence. When I woke up, I was in the ICU. My ribs were broken, my leg was in a cast, and my head felt like it had been split open. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive. Lucky. It didn't feel that way. But the first thing I asked about wasn't my injuries. It was Emily. "Did she come? Is she here?" I croaked through a dry throat. The nurse nodded softly. "She's been waiting. I'll let her know you're awake." And just like that, relief washed over me. She was there. She hadn't left me. That thought gave me the strength I needed to push through the pain. When Emily walked in, her eyes were red from crying. She rushed to my side, held my hand, and whispered, "You scared me to death. Don't you ever do that again." I tried to smile despite the pain. "I'll try not to." In that moment, I believed she loved me more than anything. But sometimes love is just a mask, hiding what's really underneath. The first week in the hospital was brutal. I couldn't move much, so Emily became my lifeline. She brought me food, told me stories to distract me, and sat by my bed until visiting hours ended. Everyone told me how lucky I was to have someone so devoted, and I believed them. But then, little cracks started to show. One night, around 9 p.m., I called her phone because I needed her to bring me some clothes. It rang a few times before she answered, sounding out of breath. Hey, sorry, I was with a friend. What's up? I didn't think much of it at the time. People have lives outside of hospitals, right? But something in her voice, hesitant, nervous, stuck with me. Another time, I asked her to stay a little longer just to keep me company. She sighed and said, I can't tonight, I'm exhausted. You'll be fine, okay? I brushed it off. She was stressed, I told myself. Taking care of me was hard, but the seed of doubt had been planted. One afternoon, my best friend Mark came to visit. He brought me snacks and a bunch of jokes to lighten the mood. But halfway through our conversation, he hesitated. Listen, man, he said, lowering his voice. I don't want to make things worse for you while you're stuck in here. But have you noticed anything weird with Emily? My stomach tightened. What do you mean? He looked uncomfortable. I saw her the other night. She wasn't alone, she was with some guy. They looked close. The room felt colder all of a sudden. I shook my head, refusing to believe it. Number she wouldn't do that. Not Emily. Not while I'm in here. Mark raised his hands. I hope I'm wrong, but I thought you should know. That night, I couldn't sleep. My body ached, but my heart hurt more. The thought of her with someone else while I was lying here, broken and helpless, tore me apart. The next day, I decided to test her, to see if Mark's suspicion had any truth. What I discovered shattered everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the person I trusted with my whole heart.